This week, Indian festival season kicks off. TikTok might be fined. Carp gets a new name, and a flight to Hawaii gets musical. Over here! Hey, listen up! Newsy Pooloozi! Hello and welcome to Newsy Pooloozi, the news book for curious kids and adults. I'm Leela Shiv Shankar Prickett.
And I'm Lindy Prickett.
And on this week's World News Podcast, India's long festival season kicks off with a lot of music and dancing. TikTok might be fined for failing to protect children in the UK. The fish called carp gets rebranded as, well, you'll just have to listen to the end to find out what. And you'll never guess what was in the goodie bag for folks traveling to Hawaii. Alrighty then, let's dive on in. First up is the
big news story
of the week.
Well, as any Indian or longtime listener to Newsy Pooloozi knows, this time of year means the beginning of India's long festival season.
Yup, it started with Ganpati down in Mumbai, where the whole city of 21 million people take to the streets to party for more than a week.
People make very small and very, very large statues of the elephant god Ganesh,
the god of new beginnings and the remover of obstacles to Hindus.
And for days and days, often in the monsoon rain, these statues are marched through the streets and eventually released to dissolve into the sea.
And then in the northeast of India, they're getting ready to celebrate the Durga Puja,
for the mother goddess who symbolizes strength.
Which is why she carries weapons in her 10 arms.
In Indian mythology, Durga is best known for killing an evil demon in a battle which lasted 9 days and nights.
That's why the festival is called Navratri. Nav means 9, and Rati means nights.
And over in the west of the country, in the state of Gujarat, Navratri is commemorated with 9 nights of dancing as a sign of devotion and worship, until the finale.
Dasara, as das means 10 and Ahara means day,
which also signifies the return of Lord Rama, his wife Sita, and his brother Lakshman from an epic battle. See, this holiday can mean different things to different Hindus, but one thing is pretty universal.
The celebration of good over evil.
Yes, and the other big Hindu festival of light,
Diwali,
is around the corner. Well, to be precise, 20 days after Dasara. But more on that next month.
Yup, it's pretty much now party. Happy celebrations, everyone.
Now let's have the latest
space news.
All right, let's enter into orbit because NASA has hit its target.
None other than an asteroid.
Yes, the DART spacecraft successfully slammed into a distant asteroid
at hypersonic speed.
In the world's first test of a planetary defense system, that is. You see, the Earth has been hit by massive meteorites and asteroids before. So, in the event of it ever happening again,
like probably thousands of years from now, though,
NASA has designed a spacecraft to prevent a potential doomsday meteorite collision with Earth.
And it was a success.
Which means we're hopefully a little more prepared if and when a big rock heads our way. It's the call of nature. Get on your safari suit.
Or squeeze into your scuba gear.
And get ready to hop into a Jeep.
Or a submarine.
Submarine.
Because Mother Nature is calling.
Nature.
So, Mama, what do you call one kind of plant or animal that takes over a place? Or should I say, a plant or animal that is new to an ecosystem and is changing the balance of the ecosystem?
What? What are you carping on about?
Carp.
Yes, that's what I said. What are you carping on about?
Carp is what I'm carping on about, whatever that means.
Wait a minute. Carp is the name of a fish, and it also means to complain, dating back to the Middle English word carpen, which meant to speak. So what are you talking about?
Both, maybe. Maybe that's why people don't like carp, the fish. Or maybe because they're invasive.
I am so confused.
All right, let's go to our correspondent, Lonnie Power, who's got this week's nature news and can tell us more. Over to you, Lonnie.
Thanks, Leela. Have you ever really thought about how important a name is? Take, for example, the cherry tomato. Would you still want to eat it if it was called the big nose tomato? I know I wouldn't. That's the reason behind why the Illinois Department of Natural Resources is giving a fish called carp the rebrand. They've decided to try and change the name of the invasive species Asian carp. An invasive species is a plant or animal new to an ecosystem, changing the way the balance worked already. In this case, it's been spreading like crazy all over the lakes and rivers in the U.S., overwhelming native wildlife. So, you can imagine it doesn't really have a great reputation. Well, how do you get rid of all these fish? By eating them, of course. The state of Illinois has decided to rename these crowded carp Kopi. Kopi does sound a lot tastier. Carp? Carp? Anybody want some carp? No? There's a bit of a story behind this name, too. Kopi is short for copious, or a lot of something. It's fun to say, but also descriptive of the fish itself. It's supposed to be really delicious, too. I could go for some fish tacos right now. In Florida, I'm Lonnie Power for Newsy Pooloozi.
Oh, you're making me hungry, Lonnie. Thanks a lot for that report.
Well, even Shakespeare said in Romeo and Juliet, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So I suppose if carpy is Kopi, it's gonna taste as good. In fact, it's eaten a lot in Eastern Europe. In Slovakia, Poland, and parts of Croatia and the Czech Republic, they love to eat it, especially around Christmas time, breaded and fried. So I say, bring on the Kopi.
What's that? I'll tell you what, that's the halftime bell, which means it's time to hear what's making news around the rest of the world. Hold on tight, it's
Around the World in 80 Seconds.
Whoa, hold tight!
Cuba is completely without power after Hurricane Ian hit the Central American island. While nearby in Florida, people are anxiously bracing for life-threatening tidal surges of ocean water, heavy winds, and floods. And the hurricane is playing havoc for space travel, too. In an update on our lead story last week, the launch of Artemis 1, NASA's most powerful rocket ever, is delayed again, but this time because of the storm. In Russia, protests break out after the government calls up 300,000 reservists. Those are soldiers on standby to fight in its war in Ukraine. And self-confessed Pokemon fan, singer Ed Sheeran is about to release a video for his new single, Celestial, animated by none other than the Pokemon team.
Thanks for that whippity-woppity, zippity-zappity wrap of world news, Mama.
Oh, you're most welcome, Leela.
Now it's the ACE part of our podcast. That stands for Art, Culture, and Entertainment.
Darling. Trouble for the social media video platform TikTok.
In the United Kingdom, anyway.
Yep, the Chinese video giant could be fined around $30 million or 27 million pounds for failing to protect children's privacy in the UK when they use the platform.
Uh-oh. You see, in the UK, you're not allowed to process the data from anyone under 13 years old without getting consent from their parents.
That's right. And the UK's Information Commissioner's Office, which oversees the country's data privacy, said TikTok might have broken the law by not doing so between 2018 and 2020.
But TikTok says it's got its ship into shape. Okay, that's not a direct quote. But that's what they're trying to say.
They've defended themselves by saying they've introduced many features that strengthen privacy, like allowing parents to link their accounts to their children's accounts, and by disabling direct messages to anyone under 16.
And finally, let's see what the Lucky Dip machine has for us this week.
Step right up.
Have a go at the Lucky Dip machine.
The Lucky Dip machine.
What's it going to be today, eh?
An oddball, no doubt.
An oddball, no doubt.
Well, it certainly was an odd flight for some passengers from Long Beach, California, who were headed on a Southwest Airlines flight to Hawaii.
Oh no, this isn't one of those guess what creepy animal ended up on the plane story, is it?
Not at all. Here's a clue.
Thank you all for joining us today.
There was a band on board?
Almost. You see, the passengers were all treated with the most unusual goodie bag ever.
So excited to be partnering with Southwest Airlines to give you a free ukulele, gig bag.
Ukuleles!
Ukuleles? You mean the little miniature guitars?
It belongs to the lute family of instruments, in fact. It's originally from the European country of Portugal, brought to Hawaii by Portuguese immigrants, where it really took off. And there's another fab fact. The name roughly translates as jumping flea, did you know?
Oh, very cute. I did not know that.
And these passengers were not only given jumping fleas in their seats, so to speak, but also lessons on how to play.
In a beginner class right here on this plane, for the very first time in history, we will have
Yes, making this the world's first in-flight ukulele class. Cute or what?
Hello, aloha, how are you? I'm bringing you kisses from over the sea. Aloha, how are you? I'm bringing you kisses.
And it's time to wrap up the podcast with
The top 5 facts heard today.
Fab fact number 1. It's festival season in India, which all kicked off with Ganpati in the city of Mumbai. Ganpati also celebrates the Indian elephant god, also called what? Ganesh. Fab fact number 2.
Next up is Dussehra, which is the celebration of good over evil, but literally translates as what? 10th day.
Fab fact number 3. In the U.S., the fish carp gets rebranded as Kopi to try and inspire people in the U.S. to eat more of it. What does the word carp also mean? To complain. Fab fact number 4.
A flight to Hawaii turns into the world's first in-flight ukulele class. Where did the small guitar-like instrument that's so popular in Hawaii come from? Portugal.
Fab fact number 5. And what does the Hawaiian word ukulele roughly translate as? Jumping flea. And don't forget, if you want to test yourself later on, then go to the Lucky Dip page of our website, newsypooloozi.com. That's pool as in POOLOOZI.com. And take this quiz online in your own time.
I repeat, POOLOOZI.com. And that almost brings us to the end of this episode of Newsy Pooloozi.
But a huge shout out to O Mawasam, who left us a great review on Apple Podcasts saying, I love this podcast. And
this podcast is so awesome. I love this podcast so much. And I discovered it on the Curious Kid podcast. I listen to it as much as I can.
Well, thank you, Curious Kid, for helping us reach new listeners. And what about the rest of you? Tell a friend about us or leave your own nice review and we'll read it out too.
Alrighty then. See you next week in the happy, splashy, giant Newsy Pooloozi.
In the U.S., the fish called carp gets rebranded as... Now, what's this fish called?
Kopi.
Kopi.
Like kopu,
Got it? Okay,
kopi.
okay, don't say it. Okay, ready? In the U.S., the fish called carp gets rebranded as
Keep this too.
Ready? That's serious. This is the one.
Okay.
In the U.S., the fish called carp gets rebranded as Kopi to try and inspire people in the... Oh, Lord, have mercy on my soul. I can do this. Okay.